Alright, so now let's talk more about hypothesis testing. We have two main branches of hypothesis testing. The first one is difference tests, and the other one are relationship tests. When we're looking at difference tests, we're looking to see the differences between two or more groups or two or more samples on a particular outcome. So an example would be looking at the differences between men and women on BMI, or looking at the differences between Hispanics, Asians, and Caucasians on GPA, or looking at one group of fibromyalgia patients and asking about their pain levels before taking a drug, and then giving them a prescription drug, and then asking those same group of people their pain levels afterwards. So these would be instances or scenarios where we would conduct difference tests, and we would be hypothesizing differences between groups. Whereas relationship tests really test the extent of a relationship between two or more variables. So if we're asking a group of participants quality of life ranging from poor all the way up to excellent, and then maybe had depression scores ranging from 0 to 63, where the higher the depression score, the more depressed they were. And we can look at the relationship between these two variables and test to see how strong it is and whether or not there really is a relationship between these two. Another example would be time spent practicing on the track and what somebody actually gets in terms of how fast they complete the 400-yard dash. Although we can look at the relationship between these two variables as we've done in Chapter 5, looking at correlation coefficient, we can also test the relationship between these two variables or more variables. So again, we have two main branches of hypothesis testing: difference tests and relationship tests. So what is a hypothesis? Well, it's simply an educated guess. And it's a research statement that you're trying to test by collecting data and then analyzing that data using some statistical program and interpreting that statistics. So here's a question. What do you think are some hypotheses regarding the causes of childhood obesity? This is a fairly timely topic. There's talk about it being an epidemic here in the US. So what would you say would be some causes of childhood obesity? Hopefully you're thinking something along the lines of nutrition, diet, what it is that these kids are eating, maybe physical activity or the lack thereof, perhaps maybe genetics, all sorts of things, right? We came up with these ideas or these potential causes of childhood obesity based upon research or things that we've read and somewhat common sense. But really, how do we know whether or not these things really cause childhood obesity, or if there really is something going on in terms of a relationship? This is why we use hypothesis testing, to test whether or not these hypotheses are true or not in nature.